Okay, welcome to this morning's Bambudda Boost. We're very, very lucky to have Jeremy Carter. He's the Chief Enthusiasm Officer of Rapport Leadership Australia. Now, he's been a speaker, trainer and business coach for the last 15 years since leaving the corporate world, where he was the Oceania Managing Director for a US technology company. He is passionate about empathy and leadership, and he's really, really dedicated to sharing that message and changing workplaces and leadership as we know it. So I'm going to do what I do best today, and I'm going to disappear, and I'm going to hand you over to the lovely, lovely Jeremy.
Good morning, Anna, and good morning, everyone. A CEO has to be enthusiastic, in my belief, because if we're going to take our organization anywhere, if we're not pumped about it, if we're not juiced about it, if we're not excited, then our team never, ever will be. And my role as a business coach and trainer is to really impart leadership skills and to help people and organizations go to the next level. Because one of the secrets is, at the end of the day, if you want to have a great business, you need to have a great team. Anna, come back. We're going to talk together. And I want to actually firstly commend you on the work of the Bambudda group, because it's a lonely place out there being a business owner all on your own. And if you might have noticed in my email signature, which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring your team. And Anna shared with me a little bit about her philosophy at Bambudda Group, and partly about the corporate social responsibility, and sharing with all you guys out there some simple ways in which you can create more impact in the world, and also surround yourselves with other like-minded, growth-focused entrepreneurs who are there to lift you up. So I want everyone to give Anna a little round of applause for making this happen, because to be an entrepreneur is not easy. It's pretty challenging. I mean, you see those successful entrepreneurs in magazines, and very often we see them up there on the back of the tiger, riding the tiger, and we think, wowee, they must be so brave, and they're up there hanging on for dear life saying, how the hell did I get here? So Anna asked me to share a few things today about how do we bring the best out of our teams, but what I'd love to do is to really also address some of the challenges that you're having with your teams. So if you could type that into the chat box, it'll give me a little bit of feedback and make sure that I can also address my content specifically to take you to the next level. So how many people in your organizations and the teams that you're working with? Sophia, just you at the moment. And this is once again, every organization starts as one. And as a leader, it's our very specific role to enroll and inspire people to join our cause. And the clearer we are about where we want to get to and where we're going and why that's important, the faster we're actually going to get there. Esther works with small business owners, and okay, here's the thing, you're jumping onto other people's teams. And one of the things with being an effective business coach or consultant is actually figuring out who you need to be to complement the business owner to help them be the best. And one of the things with leadership is it's really important to understand that if you have just one style of leadership, you're bound to fail. Successful leaders have a degree of emotional intelligence. And that's not just self-awareness, that's also awareness of where other people are at. And when we have that, we understand that, and this is a little formula I'll share with you. Now, let me type it into the chat box because this is a really important one. This formula actually changed my life. And this formula is my secret to life success. It says be times do equals have. And what this is all about is understanding that, as Bob Dylan summed it up pretty well, when he said a man is a success, or a person is a success, if they get up in the morning, if they go to bed in the evening, and in between they do just exactly as they please. By which I believe he meant that success is really only something that can be defined on your terms. And where most people go wrong is they're not clear on what success is for them. And they fail to understand the way in which the human mind works. And they don't unleash the true power of the human mind. You see, one of the things to understand is your brain or mind actually can't process not. If I tell you all not to think about a yellow Lamborghini, whatever you do, don't think about a yellow Lamborghini. What's the image we've all got in our minds? And it's the same thing when we're driving down the road and we see a pothole and we say to ourselves, don't hit the pothole, don't hit the pothole. So when you speak to many people and you ask them, well, what is it that you want? And they tell you what they don't want, what do you think it is that they end up attracting? That's right. They end up attracting all of that stuff that they don't want. So the first step to being successful is get clear on what you do want and free yourself from all those limiting thoughts. Can't, don't have enough money, don't have enough time. The first steps to success is to get clear on what you want to have. Working backwards from there, you've got to understand the principle of action and reaction. In order to have an outcome, you've got to be willing to do something. But the real question at the end of the day is, who do you need to be? Who do you need to be to do the things that need to be done for you to have the result that you're looking for? And this is about understanding that for your results to change, first you've got to change. This formula, in fact, is why diets don't work. Diets don't work. Why? Because they focus on the do. And if you're really self-disciplined and you force yourself to do the diet, you will shed a couple of kilos. But what normally happens 2-3 months later? It all comes back. Why? Because we didn't address the problem, which was the B. Some of our beliefs, some of our clarity around who we are and where we're going. So Jim Rohn, one of my mentors, he has a saying which says, never wish life was easier, wish you were better. And this formula, B times do equals have, is all about understanding that for your results to change, first you've got to change. So here's the great thing. You can have more, you can have better. There's options. You always have options, you always have choices. So if you wanted to have more, let's say you wanted to have twice as much, to double your results in the next 12 months. You've got two options. You can do more or you can be more. If you had to choose one of those to focus on, what would you focus on? Pop it in the chat box. Type your answer. Be or do? Esther's B. Anna's B. Glenda's B. Oh, you've been educating these people well. They're smart cookies, Anna. Here's the thing. Most people say, do. I just need to do more. And to be honest, some of you do need to do more. Working 8:30 till 5 p.m. as an entrepreneur, you're probably not going to go very far very quickly, in the early years at least. But the real secret is to work on your B. And this is about understanding that education is your highest form of leverage. Education of yourself and also education of your team members. Because once you learn a new skill, how long do you have to use it for? How many people can we teach it to? So understand that as we're going through adversity in our businesses right now, we need to be aware of some of our belief systems, and it's easy to get into a negative spiral and all this negative self-talk about business is bad, it's going to get worse. One of my beliefs is adversity isn't sent our way to make lives hard. It's sent our way to help us grow. And there's a silver lining in every cloud. In fact, without a cloud, there is no silver lining. The challenge is, for many people who aren't very self-aware, they tend to see one side of an event and not the other. Yeah, there's no such thing as a silver lining without a cloud. There's no such thing as a cloud without a silver lining. And it's about training ourselves to actually look for the opportunities. While others are whinging and moaning and talking about how bad things are, the smart ones are actually looking at, well, how do we capitalize on the current situation and add more value? Yes, there's things that we can't change, but there are very are significant things that we can change. What do you think about this, Anna?
I was actually just thinking about the amount of times I've gone home and licked my wounds and sat with that for a while and thought, oh, you know, that hurt, or that felt like a failure, or, you know, now what? And actually realised that part of licking the wounds is part of the process, because it gives you the time to go away and digest and think about what needs to be changed. And it's almost like, well, you don't have a choice. There has to be another solution here. And that's always been my strategy. So it got me thinking about, you know, oh yeah, I always do go home and I lick my wounds, and I need a couple of days, and then I'm like, right, I'm coming back, and it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna learn from this, and what's the other options? What are the other options? So I completely agree with what you're saying there.
And that's one of the things to understand about success. The success is about continuing to fail over and over again and learning from it. You know, the role of a leader is to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just keep going. About facing adversity, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, because that's really what success is all about. Your ability to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the challenge is, programmed in psychologically to a lot of us, is this need to be in our comfort zone. But the challenge is your comfort zone can become a prison from which you don't escape. If you're going to achieve things you've never achieved before, you're going to need to become somebody who you've never been before. And this is also about mental resilience and your ability to turn around situations. So I want to share with you a little phrase that's very, very powerful, especially when you feel things that are happening that are out of your control. And the phrase goes as follows: it is what it is. I'm so glad that this has happened. Now I get to ... And it doesn't matter what happens in your life, that, you know, you might, let's take, for example, cancer. And many people think cancer is absolutely, you know, worst thing that could ever happen. I know a number of cancer survivors who've said to me, Jeremy, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It gave me the opportunity to sit back and actually reevaluate what my priorities are, and to start putting myself first for a change. It brought our family closer together than ever before. So there's no such thing as an event that's only positive or negative. Every event brings a combination of two. Same thing might go for winning Gold Lotto, $10 million. All good, right? What happens when all your relatives come knocking on the door? What happens when you know, studies have found that 90% of people with a windfall 5 years later are worse off than before they had it. Why? Because they just got the money. They didn't actually get the skills on how to protect it and how to grow it. So all sorts of life, understand that life is all about challenges. So we need to be grateful for the challenges that come our way. This is about mental resilience and your ability to be able to respond to make the most of any situation. A bit like sailing. Yeah, we can't change the breeze. We can't change the tides. What we can do is just get focused on where we want to go, point the boat in the right direction, and constant course correction is the secret to achieving the outcome that we're looking for. So you wanted me to talk a little bit about high performance teams today. Is that right, Anna?
Yeah, high performance teams. Because there's lots of definitions of this, and I'm wondering what you see as to be a high performing team for the next 20 years. You know, the definition maybe 20 or 30 years ago in a capitalist structure of a high performing team, and what that looks like is going to be something quite different to what's needed today, and especially post-COVID. So I'd love your advice around, you know, what does a high performing team look like now into the future?
Well, one of my secrets is success leaves clues. And if you've ever looked at a little bit of NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, you know, it's smart to learn from your own mistakes. It's genius to learn from the mistakes of others. And understand that whatever you want to do, someone else has typically done before. And instead of attempting to figure it out your own way, the hard way, take a look at what other people have done and model. learn from their experience, and this is really the shortcut to success. So when we look at high performance teams, there's, we can take the sporting analogy, understand that sporting teams and business teams are very, very similar. There's a temptation to fall into the trap to think that if you want a high performance team, it's about having all of the best players on your team. And I want to share with you that this is actually not what creates a high performance team. And if you look at the English soccer team, why is it that they haven't succeeded when it comes to World Cup soccer? So many years. They have the best players by far, but why is it that the team can't get together? So it's not about the skills of the individual team members. It's much more about how the team members come together. There was a study in 2008 by MIT in connection with Carnegie Mellon, and they looked at the collective IQ of groups. So what happens when teams come together? Does their IQ, when they work together, increase or decrease? And what they found was that the teams that succeeded had two very specific traits. The first of these was conversational turn-taking. That is, an equality of communication. And what you find in teams with star players is the star player will want to come in and dominate, to tell everyone else this is the way it is, which results in other team members within that team actually shutting down. And then without that communication, without those different perspectives and viewpoints, the team won't achieve anywhere near what it could have. The second trait that was essential for teams to function well was what's called social sensitivity or emotional intelligence. That is the ability of team members to be aware of what was going on around them, where other people were at, to encourage those who are holding back to step up, but also to create this thing called psychological safety. And psychological safety is that ability when you're in a group of people to speak up and speak your mind without fear of retribution. So those two things going together were really what created the success of the groups, to be able to solve difficult projects in an intelligent way. And when you look at the word intelligence, what does it actually mean? Tellio means to seek, is the Latin root, to seek the answer to a problem. So Google actually built onto this research. And, Google's a pretty large organization, and what they wanted to do was to figure out the answer to how do we consistently build great teams. And what they found was that there were 5 very specific things that dictated whether teams would be successful or not. Again, it doesn't come down to the individuals on the team. Number 1, what they found was psychological safety, just like the MIT study. Number 2 was about dependability, which is really about integrity and trust. Number 3 was about goals and roles clarity. Everyone on the team knew what the goals were and who was doing what. The 4th was personal buy-in, with each person actually having some level of meaning of what the project meant to them. They could see benefits in completing the project. And the 5th point was about the overall impact of the work, which, Anna, is why I'm so excited about you getting out there and educating business owners a little bit more about CSR, the corporate social responsibility. You don't have to be a large organization with 1,000 employees before you start thinking about CSR. For myself, I have a small business. My CSR is a lot more being involved with my local Rotary Club. I was the president for 2 years, and we work on all sorts of projects in our local community and also internationally to make the world a better place. And in your organization, if you can find a way to help get your team members involved in making the world a better place, it increases the way they feel about themselves and about your organization, and increases engagement overall. So Giver's gain is a very powerful philosophy to have in your organization, and to think about, well, as an organization, what can we do to give back, to make this community a better place, to make our industry a better place, to make the world a better place?
I think that's actually a perfect place for us to end today, this morning, Jeremy. And I think, you know, if it's not been shown by one person, it's been shown by many, and a lot of research just to show how kindness and being good as a business, in the definition of responsibility and being part of a community and ownership and integrity with regards to the way you operate, makes money. It means your business is successful as a result of it down the line. And it's nothing new, is it, Jeremy? I mean, you know, if you think in the olden days, the man owns the butchers, somebody owns the farm. If you're nice to the farmer, he'll give you milk. If you're nice to this, that, and the other, they'll sort you out with an extra loaf of bread. It's just humanity. So, you know, we're really, really grateful that we've had you today. Has anybody got any questions for Jeremy while we've got him? Or anything you'd like to say as a result of what you've heard this morning?
Esther, thank you for sharing about the corporate HR job. I used to be in shackles as well, caught in the corporate world, and then something happened that seemed like a curse at the time, but that was why I stepped out to become a business coach 15 years ago, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's a challenge working in a corporate organization, because at the end of the day, you have one customer, and that job security is very illusory. In fact, the older you get, the less job security you actually have in a corporate.
And as well, thank you for sharing, Andrew, around your personal experience with cancer and the positive and negatives as well. You know, we've got Glenda, universal law of reciprocity, I can never get that word out. And Esther, that leap of faith. You know, it's really interesting. I spoke to my partner the other day and I said, do you know what? Maybe I'm never actually going to work for another person or an organization ever again. Maybe this is my life now. And actually, it took till my 30s to realize there's another solution out there. And there are other solutions. It's just that comfort zone, which we were talking about, you know, when people are afraid to step out of that comfort zone. But it's hard work, and you have to be ready to surround yourself with the people that can empower you and look after you on that journey. You know, those 5 traits you talked about with Google with regards to teams, Jeremy?
Yes.
You know, with regards to individual leaders, do you think there's any difference with how they need to apply that to themselves? Because it's all good and well putting a strategy in place with regards to how you engage your team for productivity, but how do leaders apply that to themselves when they're leading a team?
So this is about understanding we need to slow down to speed up. And if we have a new project, the temptation is we jump in and we start thinking immediately, well, what have we got to do? And if we want to be successful, the best question we need to ask ourselves first is why? Why do this project at all? How will this project benefit the organization or the community? And how will each team member who's part of this project get benefit? And after thinking about why, we start thinking about how. And this is creating the context of the team. So what can we expect from each other? What are some of the group norms? Who's going to be responsible for what? And also ensuring, how do we ensure that we have open, honest, and balanced conversation and communication between the team members? So if we get these things right to begin with, the why and the how, then we can actually start focusing on the what, the project plan, the roles and responsibilities within the group. What are the goals? What are the milestones? What are the strategies? So the temptation is we just want to jump in and start doing things, but this is where, as leaders, we've got to slow down. We've got to understand it's not up to us to have all the answers. It's up to us to ask the right questions. This is about collaboration, increasing the group IQ, getting everyone involved, getting people to take ownership. And this is where you really accelerate your results.
Thank you so much. And we have run out of time a little bit today, but we've got a lot of love for you going on in this chat, a lot of appreciation and lots of thank yous, Jeremy. And it does lead on, actually. We're staying on the topic of compassion in leadership tomorrow with Les Moore, who's going to be doing a boost about the same time, Tune in 10 o'clock, be there, be square. And if you have missed this or you want to share this with any of your network, it'll be online on our website under the Kindness Collection by the end of this week. But can we give a massive round of applause for Jeremy? Lots of love, and thank you for all of your time and for being kind enough today to share your knowledge and expertise with leaders when they need it the most. Lots of love.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone.